Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into 3 highly tactical scripts designed to help you, finally, stop being the family middleman. You know, if you've ever felt like you're caught in this endless tug-of-war between the people you love the most, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to take a really structured, analytical look at family friction, and more importantly, how to systematically disengage from it using some very precise communication.
So let's just dive right into this incredibly familiar, high-stress scenario. Picture this. You're sitting on the sofa after a big family dinner. To your left, your mom leans in and whispers, "Tell her the salt is too much." And then, almost immediately, to your right, your wife leans in and whispers, "Tell her to stop commenting on my cooking." Boom! You're literally physically and emotionally trapped right between 2 whispering factions, and somehow you are expected to act as the ultimate peacekeeper.
And man, you end up feeling like a highly trained diplomat dropped straight into a war zone, right? You try to soften the blow, maybe translating these complaints into gentle suggestions, but instead of winning a Nobel Peace Prize for all your efforts, you just walk away with a massive headache. Trying to blindly negotiate peace in this kind of crossfire, it literally only guarantees you a migraine, mostly because you're taking on emotional labor that just doesn't actually belong to you.
Which brings us to part 1. The triangulation problem.
Before we actually get to the scripts and the solutions, we absolutely have to look at the psychology behind why your natural instinct to help is actually making things worse. It's a trap called triangulation. And this isn't just a casual family quirk. No, it's a recognized toxic communication loop that's directly linked to the drama triangle. Basically, it happens anytime messages, especially the critical or emotional ones, are relayed through a third-party messenger, which is you, instead of being handled directly by the 2 people who are actually having the conflict. By participating in this, you're unintentionally keeping all that drama alive.
It really builds into this destructive game of telephone. Think about it. It usually starts out pretty mildly. Step 1, your wife makes a relatively basic request. But then in step 2, as you process it and try to figure out, okay, how do I frame this for my mother, the original tone is completely lost in translation. So by step 3, when the words finally leave your mouth, it's delivered and received as a harsh complaint. A really simple boundary instantly mutates into a hurtful attack, all because it passed through a middleman.
So let's fix it with script 1, direct connection.
How do we break this cycle? We do it by totally changing our responses. This first tactical tool is designed for that exact moment a parent asks you to relay a small critique to your spouse. Try saying this. "Ma, I'm not the best at explaining these things. Why don't you mention it to her while you're having tea? She'll appreciate the directness." Seriously, I highly recommend you just memorize this. Notice how it's polite, but it's completely unyielding. You're gently but firmly deflecting that messenger role by playing a little dumb, right? "I'm not the best at explaining." And then you frame direct communication as a positive thing.
This script is a total game changer because it achieves 2 massive victories. First, it immediately deflects your middleman role without causing a huge fight. You aren't saying, "Don't talk to me." You're just saying, "Hey, I'm the wrong tool for the job." And second, which is absolutely crucial, it forces the 2 people with the actual issue to take full responsibility for their own communication. Look, if it's important enough to complain about, it has to be important enough for them to just say it directly.
Next up is script 2, the we message.
Now, this is a vital strategy you absolutely must use when your spouse needs you to set a boundary with your parents, like, say, leaving a family gathering at a specific time. Pay close attention to the subtle linguistic shift here, from she or I to we, because it is so incredibly common for a husband to say, "Well, Sarah wants to leave at 5, which effectively throws Sarah right under the bus just to appease his parents. But by simply changing your language to, "We have decided to leave at 5, or "I have noticed we need to head out early," you fundamentally alter the entire power structure of that conversation.
And the reason this is so incredibly effective is that it builds an immediate protective shield around your marriage. By presenting a united front, you completely eliminate the chance for your family to cast your spouse as the bad guy. When you say we, there's literally no wedge to drive between you two. The boundary is coming from the core family unit, and that protects your spouse from being the villain in your parents' eyes. It's just a tiny verbal tweak, but it provides massive relational armor.
Which brings us to our last tool, script 3, the peaceful exit.
Finally, we need an emergency cord. For when things really boil over and you're being actively pressured to take sides right in the heat of the live argument. So here are your exact words. "I love you both, and I'm not going to be the messenger anymore. It's hurting my relationship with both of you. I'll step out while you 2 discuss this." This is your ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. You start with love, you clearly state the negative impact the situation is having on you, and then you physically remove yourself from the emotional blast radius. You are literally leaving the room so they cannot triangulate you.
And honestly, stepping out of the room reveals a core truth about family dynamics. Removing yourself isn't selfish. Not at all. It is a necessary, hard boundary for your own mental survival. By stepping out, you are refusing to be the shock absorber for other people's unresolved issues. You're protecting your mental health, and ironically enough, you are actually protecting your relationship with both of them by refusing to participate in that toxic cycle.
So, let's wrap this up with our conclusion. Reclaiming your peace. Now that we've broken down the psychological traps of the drama triangle and armed you with the exact words to use to escape it, it is time for action. Because knowledge without application isn't going to change your Sunday dinners. So here is your mission over the next 7 days. I want you to pick just one of these phrases. You don't have to overhaul your entire family dynamic overnight. Just choose the script that fits your most common scenario. Memorize it and test drive it the very next moment friction sparks. Just see what happens when you absolutely refuse to play the middleman.
And I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. Which of these scripts feels the most terrifying to actually say out loud to your family? Really think about it and consider how you might need to adapt these words to fit your specific situation. Because recognizing the hardest boundary to set, that is usually the very first step to finally finding your peace.